for those of you who don't know, my name is Maya Karen. I run a fashion blog called Classically Kept. It does feature luxury, contemporary, and how to style, and now natural hair care. So if you are into any of those things, please consider subscribing to my channel. Click the notification bell. That way you will never miss a video. So today we are going to talk about two topics really quickly. We are going to talk about the Chanel price increase, and then we are also going to talk about the Neverfull waitlist and discontinuation. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, first, so LV, you will notice that if you try to hop on their website and purchase a Neverfull, you will notice that the typical or the usual add to cart button now says notify me. So I do want to say this, the Neverfull is not discontinued. It is now going to be a wait list bag, okay? Now, as far as like your collaborations and as far as your seasonal ones, those will be available to purchase on the website. I am talking about the 6 classic ones, and I will put them right here. So of course you have the original, the monogram canvas, then you have the damier azur, then you have the damier avine, you also have the epi leather, you also have the monogram jacquard, and then you lastly have the empreinte leather. Those are the 6 that are going to now be on the wait list, and that is all sizes. So what is going to happen is you are going to put your name on the wait list, and since May of 2023, or since May 23rd of 2023, the list is 2 to 3 months out. Once you are notified, you will have 24 hours to pick it up. And if you do not pick it up within that time frame, it's probably going to be sold to someone else or the next person on the list, okay? Okay, so let's quickly talk about the resale market. We are all very clear, we are all very aware of the resale market. You are going to pay a premium because it is readily at your hands. It is readily available, right? You can hop on Fashion File right now. You can buy an Hermes Birkin or a Kelly, you can buy a Neverfull, and you can also buy the ever coveted Chanel Classic Flap. You are going to pay a premium for this bag to be readily available to you. You'll be able to pick through any of the seasonal bags that you can find on there, maybe like a rarer bag or something from like a collaboration, but then you will also be able to find all of the ones that I just named, right? So what does this mean now that the bag is going to be on a wait list as far as the resale market is concerned? The price more than likely is going to go up. I don't think it is going to, I guess, go up like the Chanel Classic Flap or the Hermes, Kelly, or Birkin, but I think the price will definitely go up. Resellers are fully aware of what is going on as far as the waitlist is concerned, and they are going to see if they can get a little bit more bang for their buck. I mean, it's in demand. People want it now. They don't want to get on a wait list. The bag is, I would probably say, let's talk about that for a second. Do we consider the Neverfull a classic bag, or do we think that LV is trying to make the Neverfull I guess you could say a solid or a concrete classic bag? When I think of a classic bag, I think number one, it's always going to cost more. It's never going to go on sale. And it kind of has like a cult following, like the Chanel Classic Flap and like the Hermes Birkin and the Kelly, right? Do I think that LV is trying to make it a classic staple? For a bag that is ubiquitous, I mean, it's everywhere. You have teenagers who you know, whose parents can afford it. You have teenagers who carry that bag wherever they go. They carry it to school. They carry it, you know, once they make it to college. You have soccer moms who are carrying it. You have professional women who are carrying it. I think it's very interesting that they are trying to take a bag that is literally everywhere and has super fakes and dupes. I think it is very interesting that that is the bag that they are trying to make, I guess you could say, exclusive when it is already everywhere. Okay, so my thoughts. As I did say before, I do think that the brand is trying to gain some of their exclusivity back. These types of brands, when you're talking about, especially the trifecta, when you have Chanel, Hermes, and when you do have Louis Vuitton, they do not want just everybody carrying their bags, or more so, they do not want the average Joe carrying their bag. So as far as LV is concerned, I think that this is kind of, I guess you could say, like a beta test, or to see how this is going to go. At the end of the day, I think the demand will still be there. It's just going to be a matter of where is the demand coming from, or what demographic is the demand coming from. Because really, when you're on the wait list, as I said, it will take 2 to 3 months. You'll have the 24 hours. Really, the people who are, I guess you could say, a gung-ho or true or core customers of the brand, they already know what they want. They already have their essay, and they will be notified of every single thing that's coming in, every single thing that's going out, right? They already have their hookup. They already already know what's going on. I think the waitlist for the Neverfull is going to be a test. And we already have seen it with Chanel. I don't know if you guys remember, but I believe it was back in April of 2022. They did announce, or Chanel did announce, that there is going to be a 2-bag quota per person per year, right? And then we already have the games that we know Hermes is playing when it comes to the Kelly and the Birkin. You cannot just walk into an Hermes store unless you know someone or unless you are a somebody, right? Not as common folk. You cannot just walk into the store, even though you might have the money, and ask for a Birkin or a Kelly, right? So as far as the exclusivity is concerned, I do think that this is a part of their strategy. I do think that they want to get some of their exclusivity back. So what do? You make wait lists, you play games, and you raise prices. Also, I think that the brand wants to focus on their leather pieces. The Neverfull is probably one of the cheapest bags that you will find at Louis Vuitton. For me personally, this does not affect me. I don't particularly care for the brand. I do have a PM Alma, which was actually my first luxury bag that I bought. But really the 2 bags that I'm concerned about when it comes to Louis Vuitton, it's going to be the Capucine. I think that is an absolutely gorgeous bag. I think it goes with my aesthetic very well. And then of course the BB Alma, or the mini one, I think that is just so adorable. So for me, it doesn't affect me, but I know that there are lovers, huge lovers of the luxury house. It's been around for a very long time. I do also think that once they start, I guess you could say, rolling out the waitlist Neverfulls, I do think that the price is going to go up. All the way from the monogram, all the way to the epi leather, and to the prant leather. I think the prices are going to go up. And the people who are on the wait list, they've either been waiting so long and they just want their hands on a new one, they're going to pay the price. Or again, I'm bringing it back to that core customer, who could care less. You know, it's the same thing with Hermes, and it's the same thing with Chanel. People are still going to pay for it, whether the quality is there or not. And we will get into quality when it comes to Chanel. The other thing that I do want to point out is you do have a couple of brands who have kind of, I guess you could say, debuted or come out with a bag that's something like the Neverfull that has actually gained or has amassed popularity. It will probably take some time for it to have the recognition that the Neverfull does. But for instance, you have YSL with their tote, you have Fendi with their tote, and you have Prada with their tote. Although I believe the Prada one at this point in time is the most expensive, all 3 of the ones that I have named, they all do cost more than the Neverfull. But I think people are looking for other options, other alternatives. Some people want that recognition when you're carrying the Neverfull, some people don't. So it really just depends on the buyer. But do I think that the strategy is going to work? I think it will. It has worked for Chanel, and it has worked especially for Hermes. Do I think it's going to come back to bite them? I absolutely do not. The only thing I will say is that not necessarily watch out, but I think LV just needs to be aware that which I'm sure they are, that LV needs to be aware that there are other luxury brands that are coming into this market. The YSL Reeve Gauche tote does very well. It is not leather. I believe the top handles is leather. The rest of it is canvas, or it's kind of like that, not knapsack, but not Brillo pad. Oh my gosh, I can't think of it. It's like the potato sack, or like that canvas, or like that straw material. And it has come out in a couple of different colorways, and that bag is doing very well as well, okay? Okay, now let's talk about Chanel. We all know that Chanel typically raises their prices twice a year. For 2023, they did raise their price in March, the very beginning of March. So let's quickly go over, and I'll put it up right here as I'm reading it right here. But let's quickly go over, I guess you could say, the top 5 or the top 6 classics, okay? So the Chanel Classic Mini went from $4,200 to $4,700. That was an 11.9% increase. The Chanel Classic Mini Rectangle went from $4,400 to $4,900. That is an increase of 11.36%. Then we have the small flap. It went from $8,200 to $9,600. That is an increase of 17%. Then we have the Chanel Classic Medium, which right now is the most coveted, with gold hardware. I do want to point that out. Typically on the resale market, a medium flap, gold hardware caviar leather is going to go for more, okay? And then right under that is going to be the lambskin. Depending on the condition, it might switch a little bit. But that is $8,800. It has now gone up to $10,200 with an increase of 16%. Then you have the classic jumbo, which was $9,500 and it is now $11,000 with an increase of 15.8. And then you have the maxi, which was $10,000 and now it's $11,500 with an increase of 15%, okay? I do have a mini rectangle. No, I don't. I have a mini square. I got it in 2014 from the Galleria. It is black, lambskin with silver hardware. I paid, or the base price was $2,999. By the time I left, I think I was at around like $3,200, right? So we've seen that it has surpassed that, right? And as I said, that was back in 2014. You guys know that on my luxury wish list, I did want a medium caviar with gold hardware. I have since changed that to a caviar Diana. It's going for a little bit less than that is going for. But interestingly enough, I did hop on a fashion file. If you are in the market for a jumbo right now, I would say go ahead and hop on fashion file. It is actually going for less, sometimes a lot less than it is for the retail. If you want the new bag, by all means, go ahead and spend the $11,000. But when I was on fashion file for the jumbo, I did see some that were going for around $6,000, $7,000. That's a pretty good discount. The medium flap, as you heard me say earlier, that is the one that is going for the most. And if you look on fashion file, depending on, again, the hardware and especially the condition, I've seen some as low as around anywhere from $5,000 to $6,500, right? So we have already had one price increase when it comes to 2023. Typically, they will do their price increase early November. Let's talk about this really quickly with the price increase. So early November might be when the next price increase comes, but with the way that Chanel is increasing its prices, you never know. They might do something. We are getting ready to be, I guess you could say, halfway through 2023. Who knows? Chanel might decide to increase their prices 3 times this year. Now, the director, the creative director, or the one who is, I guess you could say, in charge of Chanel right now, he did say that the 2023 increase is, of course, for supply and demand and for inflation. I don't know if you guys have seen, I think his name is like Tanning Eppenstein or Tanner. He's basically taking all of these luxury bags and some of your contemporary bags and basically buying them and destroying them. And he's talking about the quality of the hardware. He's talking about how much it should actually cost. He's talking about the quality of the leather. And he's talking about the uptick, and I guess you could say the upcharge for all of these bags. And I think his latest one was for like a Chanel zip wallet, which I think right now retails anywhere from about I think it's around like $1,200. He's basically saying it shouldn't cost anywhere than like it shouldn't even be basically he was saying it shouldn't be anywhere near $1,000, right? So let's talk about this. Quality. You guys have seen, or you guys have heard, if you're into the luxury space, you guys have seen and heard the issues with the Chanel quality. I have not been into a Chanel boutique, I would probably say, since 2017 when I was doing a contract in Indiana. We traveled to Magnificent Mile. For me personally, that was in 2017. The customer service was absolutely horrible. I was not acknowledged, nor was my girlfriend. I was actually there to buy another purse, but me not even being acknowledged, getting ready to spend $4,500 on a bag, not my thing. But aside from customer service, I think for a lot of people, it's more or so the quality. You guys have all seen and heard the videos talking about how you might walk into a store and the actual flap of the classic flap is like crooked. I know a lot of people were talking about the Chanel 2022. They carried it like once and like the hardware was tarnishing. The actual straps for the knapsack is, to me, what it looks like. It looks like one of those gym knapsacks. It started falling apart. There was another woman talking about how the actual paint on the leather just started chipping away. So we all know about the quality issues, but the question is, I think for Chanel is, are they eventually going to price themselves out of the market? And I think you can look at this from one or two ways. For the common folk, for the person who has to save up for the bag, for the person, you know, who might have to stock the bag on Fashion File, or, you know, who might have to put away some of their bonus, or who might, basically someone who has to plan for the bag, is that person going to be priced out? I would say for a majority of those people, yes. For your Beyoncés and your Rihannas and your CEOs and your billionaires and the wives of the billionaires who can just walk into the store and say, hey, give me this bag even though it's 15 grand, I don't think that it's going to be priced out. I don't think that's going to happen. Also, Chanel is fully aware of their core customer. Chanel is not really focused on the person who buys the costume jewelry maybe once a month, or maybe someone who buys a bag twice a year, or maybe someone who loves their shoes. Their core customer is, and you guys remember the video, which I'll link down below, that I talked about how Chanel is going to be opening up Chanel boutique stores for the VIPs by invitation only, right? That is their core customer. That person is going to walk in and spend $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. And a bag might be included in that, but they're also going to buy the coat they're ready to wear. They're also going to buy a suit. They're also going to buy a hat. And then they're probably going to turn around and buy, you know, some type of napkin, or their core customer is in their shopping, okay? They're in their shopping like you're shopping at Zara, like you're shopping at Banana Republic, like I'm shopping at J. Crew, okay? That is their core customer. So their core customer is not priced out. I would probably say their customer that has to, you know, save up eventually is going to be priced out. I think for someone who is saving up and is looking at the price increase and is looking at the decrease of the quality, I think they might go elsewhere. And as you guys, I showed you the prices. I think, what did I say? The maxi and the jumbo are now 10,000 plus. At that price, you can play the game with Hermes. And I think some people might actually fare better over there. You'll have to play the game, but I think you will get a much better quality bag. So I think the other question is going to be, well, people with money, don't they care about quality? They do, but I think it depends on what you're talking about. I think it depends on what type of person you're talking about, right? Even someone who is not a CEO, even someone who is not a billionaire, you know, different strokes for different folks, right? I will give you a prime example. My mother, she is known as the plant lady when it comes to Home Depot and when it comes to Lowe's. She will walk in there and spend hundreds of dollars on flowers. Myself, I cannot fathom spending hundreds of dollars on plants. They're plants. Who really cares, right? But for someone like me who's into fashion, me getting, you know, an Alexander Wang dress on sale, let's say the dress was $1,200 and I'm getting it on sale for $600. There are people like my mother who could not fathom spending $1,200 on a dress or $600 on a dress. So different strokes for different folks. I'm saying that because you might have, you know, your billionaire's youngest daughter who's 16, 17 years old, and she wants a classic flap. Does she really care about the quality, or does she want to have daddy's credit card to go to the store, swipe the card, and walk out with her, you know, I guess you could say crooked Chanel flap? She doesn't care. All she knows is that her and her girlfriends all want a flap, and she has to, you know, she has to be a part of the in crowd. Her and her girlfriends want one, so she's going to get one. If you're talking about someone like Rihanna or Beyonce, depending on where they're buying it from, I don't really think they care. Now, you do have conscious billionaires, you do have conscious millionaires who will only spend their money on quality pieces. Are they going to be priced out? They're not going to be priced out, but I think they might think twice about buying a bag for $10,000 that has some issues with it, just like the average Joe would, right? So I think you have different levels, and I think you have different types of people with money. For some, it will matter. For some, it won't. And then for some, they just want the latest trend. They just want the latest bag, and it doesn't really matter how much it costs, and it doesn't really matter if there's something wrong with it. And lastly, do I think Chanel is trying to become Hermes? In a previous video, I did say yes. In this video, I will also say yes. I don't think they're trying to emulate Hermes. I think that they are trying to get back up to, again, same thing with Louis Vuitton. I think they're trying to get back up to that exclusive status. When you start making quotas about how many classic flaps one person can buy in a year, I think you are starting to kind of play the Chanel, not the Chanel, the Hermes game. but in a different way. Do I think Chanel wants to be Hermes? No, I don't. As a matter of fact, someone who shops at Hermes, depending on, I guess you could say, what it is or their core customer. The core Hermes customer, I don't really see being a core customer of Chanel. I don't think those are, I guess you could say, the same woman all the way around. There are some pieces from Hermes that I think a Chanel core customer would buy, and I think that there are some pieces that a Chanel core customer would buy from Hermes. But do I think that they are shopping at those places simultaneously or buying each collection, you know, all together? No, I don't. So I don't think that they're trying to emulate. I don't think they're trying to copy. I think that they are trying to gain back their exclusivity when it comes to that. I don't think Louis Vuitton is trying to be Hermes either. I think that Hermes, Chanel, and Louis Vuitton, I think they are fully aware of their core customer. And really, when it boils down, what it boils down to is that that's the entire point. Luxury is not meant to be afforded by everybody, right? So do I think, as I said before, do I think that the core customer has been priced out of the trifecta? No, I don't. Do I think the common person? I think Chanel is getting there. I think it's going to get to the point where it's just not going to be worth it for the average Joe. Because as you heard me say earlier, if you are looking for a maxi or a jumbo, your best bet would be actually to hop on Fashion File or eBay. They're actually going for less on the resale market than they are in store. So you'll be able to get the bag right there, and then you won't have to deal with any snobby sales associates or you not even necessarily being acknowledged. So let me know what you think in the comments of the Louis Vuitton waitlist and then the Chanel possible of the increase aside from early November. I just want to remind you that here on YouTube, I do upload videos every Wednesday and Sunday. And of course, you know, right here, I have my Instagram handle. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, guys. Bye.